Today is October 1st. Yesterday I talked about how I initially met Alvaro Pardo, who ended up becoming my fiance. The last person that I had met before, I guess the last person that there had been anything intimate with at all in any way was this person from Argentina who had a steel industry in Argentina, and who I know for a fact was that I was set up to meet. Nothing happened with him that first night, that night, but we got to his place. We were supposedly just going to talk, and we did, but we got to his place very late at night. I'd already had many drinks, and by the morning, it's not like I was still intoxicated. And it was at that point, that something happened. Having a couple of hours of conversation really didn't do anything but to wear off, effects of alcohol that I'd been drinking all night. We'd gone out to go dancing. I remember that it was really strange because there were so many people around, so many people interested in what I was doing with him in particular. And he is the person who talked to me about how he hunted boars, pigs, basically, but pigs with horns, boars. And he had said, it was very ironic because I was completely drunk when we were just going to talk, and I specifically told him I just wanted to talk, if he wanted to hang out at all. And he said yeah, and he didn't have any respect for people who just took advantage of those who were intoxicated. But then he basically sort of did the same thing, because there's no difference. It doesn't matter whether it's night out or whether it's day. If there's only a few hours in between that time, and alcohol doesn't get out of the system that quickly. So trying to, cop out of the idea that, you're not a date rapist when you are, and just trying to say that, a few hours made a difference isn't really the truth. So I would maybe caution possibly other young women into not accepting that kind of and to not tolerating abuse and then accepting any kind of excuse for it. And I remember that there was something very important hinging on what I did with him or whatever, because I remember when I left, as I say, there was a dark-haired woman in the lobby, and she hated me. She looked at me like she thought she got what she was very satisfied that I had spent any time with him at all. And she looked at me like she just won the lottery and I had just sealed my fate, and she knew it, and she was happy about it and felt very smug and self-satisfied. I still remember sort of what her face looks like. I had thought she sort of looked a little bit like Pippa Middleton. I didn't know if the woman, I couldn't tell right away if she was maybe Italian or Jewish. But she had dark hair, and she had sort of foreign kind of features. She didn't look like just a regular American. She looked like she had some sort of other ethnicity to her. And she followed me out, watched me go out, and then I remember being followed and watched by a lot of other individuals. So, then I was out of work at the Post Pub, and I was staying, actually, and I think that had happened maybe a lot earlier. I mean, before I thought I was pregnant or something. But at any rate, then I was going through this whole thing of then my pregnancy and then my staying in Maryland with this other family with the Nigerian people with the mother that chopped my back up with a karate chop. And yeah, I think it did happen quite a bit earlier, but it was the last person that I was with in any way, aside from Chris Dabney. There wasn't anyone else. He was pretty much the last person, and it was another situation of being taken advantage of. But he tried to make it look like he was the exception to the rule, just because a few hours had passed. And then I remember there were just a lot of professionals. We went to this one club. It was like the entire intelligence community was at this one club that we went to when I went with him to go dancing. And it was people who had a lot of money, and there were a lot of people who were professionals. They were older too. There were older people and younger. And I remember they were all staring. I just had this idea that he was very well known. He was connected or attached to somebody, and something was going on that night. But I didn't know what. And so after that, the next person that I met was Alvaro, through Henry. I was then stuck, as I say, I was forced out of this place that I had been staying with with the Nigerian people who worked for the CIA, and I was forced to call Henry, who had already given me his phone number at the restaurant I worked at, the Latin American restaurant. So I called, and then we all went out that one night that I already described, and what I was told is that, you're in that hotel, we have a place to stay, we have an extra room, and I was told before we left and went anywhere, it was very late in the night, but I was told that there was an extra spare room that nobody was using. And I thought that sounded really, really good, because, if it was a house or a condo type of arrangement and there was an open room, and I have it to myself, maybe I could pay a little bit of rent and keep working at this Latin American place, pay a little rent, something like that. But when we got there, I got there with Alvaro, and the door was locked, and he said, "Oh." And then he kept trying the door, and he said, "It's locked." And I said, "Well, what if I just stay on the couch downstairs?" Because there was sort of a common area with a couch. And he said, "No, I couldn't do that because of the other people that lived there." And so that's when he opened the door to his apartment, and basically the entire content of his apartment was a bed and no place to sleep on the floor. There was no room to sleep on the floor, even if I'd wanted to. So I didn't like that. I didn't like the sense that I had been told there was a room, and then all of a sudden the room is locked. And lo and behold, I'm having to sleep in this place with no other alternative. At that time of night, especially with someone, and I just decided to stay on my side of the bed and stay clothed, or what I was wearing. Slept on the edge of the bed. And I remember that when I went in on the dresser, that was abutting the bed, because it was right up to the bed, I remember there's a little gift bag, like the, when people stop, sometimes they don't want to use wrapping paper, and they buy a gift bag that has sort of a decoration on the bag, and it's like, I don't know, it's basically just a gift bag with handles. I mean, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. The kind of, you don't have time to wrap something, you grab a gift bag, wrap the present in some tissue paper, colored tissue paper really quick, put it in the gift bag, and then, give him the house. Well, he had a gift bag right there in his room with a CD of Bjork and a few other items. And I remember I saw that, and I had a feeling that that someone had given this to him, and it had something to do with me, and I was being made fun of again. That basically I was being set up again. And the little housewarming gift for what the next thing was going to be was this little gift bag. And inside were, as I say, the only thing that I remember, really, was the Bjork CD. And by that time already I had made a blog post about one of the Bjork songs that I really liked and sort of analyzed it. And then there were a few other items, and basically condoms, like wrapped, but individually wrapped condoms that were thrown in there. And so that's kind of where I left off yesterday. I got about that far. I just didn't give as many details, maybe. But nothing happened. I stayed on my side of the bed, and he didn't try anything. And then I kept trying to, I believe I was still then trying to go to work. And then several days went by, and eventually something did happen. And I remember just feeling like, I remember initially I was tired of being set up. And probably, if I look back on everything that happened, even if then I was trying to work something out with him, and we were engaged, and I found that I did like his personality type, and we really got along in a lot of ways, and that kind of thing, there were other things that were happening that, how could I trust, that ruined my ability to fully trust him. Because I didn't know what group he was with that was part of trying to set me up, potentially. And although I forgot about that initial situation, when some other things happened, it sort of reinforced my fear in my subconscious, maybe, that something maybe wasn't right. Because we were together, and then right about the time that we were together, that's when I got fired from my job at the Latin American restaurant. They just fired me. I don't know if someone thought, well, now we can fire her because she's with him. I really have no idea. I know that then the most immediate thing that I had going on was that I had just come out of living with the Nigerian people, and she had told the police the police said that she had filed a restraining order against me, and I knew that I had to contest that. So my first and most immediate thing that I had to do was to get to the right courthouse